more copies. So if you don't have a packet, pay close attention. Every so often wiggle the mouse too, just so it doesn't go in the power segment. On the very back page, it's just things you have to know, since about half the people are used to using transaction desk, half aren't. There's some basic setup things you got to know about. Silence any cell phones. Okay, on the back page, transaction desk is made to use the more modern versions of the Internet Explorer. There's Firefox, there's Internet Explorer, there's Chrome. Those three, we're in Chrome right here, but you can use any one of the three you want. Those three have little modules that work really well with transaction desk. An example, in Chrome, that's Google Chrome or Internet Explorer, they actually have a little chunk of programming that mimics the Adobe PDF program. So that's why when you click and you do things, you'll see what looks like a PDF viewer pop up. It's actually inside the browser. But what's important to know, you have to go through some settings first. Back here are some things to think about. And if you have problems, look at them. The other thing you have to look about is look at settings. Is if you go, like I have 3 or 4 workstations and I'm always forgetting what I'm doing. But every workstation, before I use transaction desk, I have to go to settings and go over here and it says pre-flight system check. So if you have maybe you have a workstation at council, you have a workstation in your office, you have one who knows what else, go ahead and click on that tab down there. And when this thing goes, it gets chugging away, and right here it's telling me the Adobe plugin information is wrong. It's going to work fine. Go ahead and close that. It'll tell you this right here. I have Adobe Professional running on this workstation, so I know it's okay. But just go through this, and if you see an error, right away you know you're going to have a problem. You won't be able to print forms, you won't be able to do certain things, okay? So it's a really important step you should go through. Okay, go back to home. Okay, now, the first part of this class, first, are there any basic question about transaction desk, how it works, things like that? Any questions? For a bunch of realtors, you guys sure are quiet. I mean, usually you guys are yapping up a storm.
I got a question here.
Sir.
So when you do your transactions without even printing anything, you do everything on there?
Yes.
Enough the purchase agreement, sending it to your buyer or whatever?
You can.
Okay.
But every office has different office policies. Some offices you gotta generate a hard copy someplace. Certain lenders require what's called signatures in ink. So sometimes you're stuck with it. Transaction Desk is a nice program, and will do all those things you just said. On the very last page of this, I'm going to show you some really cool tips for training, because everything I talk about today, in about 10 minutes you're going to forget. So, click on that very last tab right there. YouTube. How many people been to YouTube? Who has not been to YouTube? Raise your hand. Great. We can stop today. If you go to YouTube, Internet webinars, they're manufacturers of transaction desks. Every possible video you can think of is right there at your beck and call. Could you scroll down a little bit on the left? Just use the scroll bar on the right, go down. Thanks. I mean, anything from, I use this all the time because I forget stuff really easy. And you can go through and you find all these different ways to do stuff. So, in answer to your question, if you really think about trying to make the totally on the cloud or totally digital package, they actually have videos here to tell you how to do it. There's certain things that you just have to be careful of. And this class, no way can we get in that kind of depth in this kind of class. So if you have those kind of questions, wait till afterwards, and we'll try and help you as much as possible. Okay? Go back to transaction desk. Okay, I was going to send disclosures to everybody, but I was not expecting this many people. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through slowly. We're going to go through the example in this, and it's a typical transaction. I have most everything pre-packaged, so you can either do it on your screen or you can follow along, watch, and then try it on your own. A really, really easy way to teach yourself how to do this stuff is I actually did, when Transaction Desk first rolled out, I sat down, I created a bunch of fake ones. And I blew the system up 2 or 3 times. I called them up and said, what did I do wrong this time? But by about the second or third time, okay, this is not hard at all. One other thing about Authentsign, that's the digital signing module. How many people use DocuSign? Okay, great, why don't you go there? Authentsign is a good program, but just has some weaknesses, and I talk about it on that summary page. The biggest one that you'll run across is some of the corporate email servers, IBM, Mail, things like that. They will block Authentsign traffic. So all you gotta do is tell your user, you know, Dr. Billy Bob down at Mail or wherever they're at, if they don't get the message in a reasonable amount of time, tell them to check their spam folders. That's usually where it ends up at. Once they accept it, their email server at the corporate level is updated and will allow that traffic through. Okay? So, click on work with an existing transaction. If you guys want to follow along, you can, or you can watch. How many people are going to try following along? Anybody? Okay, I'm going to go slow. Click on existing transaction. Right there. It's hard to work that mouse, isn't it? There you go. There's one there called Buyer or something, like Joe and Sally.
Joe and Sally? Okay.
That's it. Okay, here's a scenario. You got some clients, they decide they want to write an offer on this house here that's inside your packet. And pretty much, if you have the scenario page, it highlights what we're going to do here. So, the agent is Dan, no, the sellers are Dan and Diane Sellers. Okay. So what happened here is go over to transaction overview on the left-hand side. She's clicking right over here. I pre-populate this thing with all these forms. Could you scroll down a little bit so you can see the forms area? Thank you. God, you got really good dexterity. Amazing. Right here, what I do is I have a template set up. I have a template for listings, I have a template for buyers, for residential buyers, for things like that. You can do that, and in those videos it talks about it. I'm not going to go through here. So when I created this particular transaction, it populated all these forms via the template. I go into the overview, and I enter all the information, and this is the disclosures I was going to send everybody. And we'll talk about how to upload those in just a minute. So could you click on edit? This is just something I find works really well for me. Adam, anybody can chime in. Is I put every possible form that a buyer could use in this situation, even if you were hogging it, and then scroll down to the bottom. And then down here someplace it says Autopopulate. So then it populates all these forms with the information. And then if I don't want them, I get rid of them. The template saves all the forms. Okay, go to home. Where you do that at is go to settings. She's going to here, and then right, transaction templates. Very good tool. You don't need to go there. But if you want to do something like that, how many times do you have to do a listing in about 30 seconds? Or you have to do it's 8 o'clock at night and somebody wants to buy a house. So those are tools that will help you do that. Go back to home and then just select that transaction again.
So are you saying in the transaction templates that they're automatically in there, or you have to dump them in there?
You do it one time,
then
and from
they're in
that
there.
point, because I didn't expect this many, but I expected a good sized class, I preset this up for another training that I did. But you can do that, and if you start the transaction at the very beginning, all you have to add in is the buyer and the sellers and things like that.
Nice.
When you hit pre-populate, then it populates everything. Okay, so now we got our scenario here, so could you pull up the purchase agreement? Remember, once again, I'm using Google Chrome. If you're using Internet Explorer or Firefox, the box is gonna look slightly different. Firefox has some more questions it asks you, but they all work more or less the same. Mercedes?
Do you have to enter the context first, or does it matter, or whenever you put that in?
No, well, if you're using a template, a transaction template, it's better to do the contact earlier than later, but you can add it in and I'll show you how you can change stuff too.
The template, guys, if you think about it in a real world fashion, is similar to if you're out at your office, you have a listing packet or a buyer packet or a purchase packet. Think of your template as that. You don't have to have a template to do anything. You don't have to function with the template. It's just like a convenient way to set up a folder with all the forms that you're going to need preloaded. So it's not essential to doing a transaction.
No, it's not. It's just helpful. If you just wanna do one form, or you have to add a form, then you might have to go back out and get it, and we'll show you how to do that. Okay, here's, oh shucks, that's right. Where, one problem we have with this going up to the monitor, it's not sizing correctly. So, try hitting that box up there, maybe that'll size it for us. Yeah. Go down to like 75. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Okay, this is pretty much everything that we should see in our scenario. I didn't put in the earnest money, but we're going to scroll down. Actually, why don't you add it in there? Go ahead and put right in that box there. Put in $2,000. No, other box. The dollar box. And then click away, it'll populate.
There you
There you go. Okay, so $2,000 earnest money. Here's the address. Here's the legal address. Keep scrolling down. Oh yeah, good dexterity. Once again, 90% is finance, 10%. Oops, that should have been reversed. You just check all the boxes. Hey, going fast. You want to go back and change that? Yeah, just reverse it.
Otherwise, you need a counteroffer, then.
Yeah, we have to add it to the form.
How did you get them to write a full price offer?
I made it up. A little bit about this is how we came about doing these type of classes. Well, we saw a huge need at the MLS level for training. We were seeing all kinds of things coming, people complaining, really, stuff that we just don't want to do as a profession. So that's why we're trying to do these things as much as possible. I applaud Joe and I applaud all you guys for coming. Hats off to you guys for wanting to make yourself better and do it better. So anyway, you fill this whole thing out. I want to get to the close to the last page. There's going to be a clauses area. I want to show them that. Is anybody trying to fill this out as we go along? Okay. Oh, that's it.
Does everybody know how we got here? Does anybody have any struggle with how we got here? Good?
Yeah,
No.
I don't know how you guys did that, like, you guys have the templates that come in, so I'm thinking, because the way I done it, I don't know how to do it, but I put in the context first, and then I was able to pick up the forms. I actually literally had to select all the forms, because I didn't
Okay.
have them.
How about this? Anybody else having that problem? Even if one person has a question, there's two others. Okay, what we'll do is we'll run through this really quick, then we'll start a brand new transaction, and we won't use a template, and we'll kind of echo what you're going to do, talking about, okay? So what they want to show you here, this is a real powerful tool, I use it all the time, is on the purchase agreement, we always have other. In this scenario, I call it the appraisal clause, it's got to come back with the right appraisal. So when you're here, type in, just click in that box anywhere, Cindy. And then let's say you have a clause, so go up to here, the clause. Now, there's websites that have all this wonderful legal jargon. They have really nice sounding stuff. You can cut and paste these in there. You can do as an office if you want, Amy, Joe, wherever. You can actually do as an office. You can have all these pre-populated clauses. Go ahead and hit the arrow right there, which is a
How did
appraisal.
you get to that?
Okay, go back. Hit the close. Close button up left hand corner. Okay, no, down a little bit. There you go.
Jim, what's the